Hi everyone. In this video, we're going to learn how to use the OpenAI API with JavaScript. We'll start from the official OpenAI developer quick start and walk through the setup step by step. In the OpenAI docs, you can see that OpenAI provides examples for several languages, uh, including JavaScript, Python, .NET, Java, and Go. For this tutorial, we'll use JavaScript, specifically server-side JavaScript with Node.js. Before we begin, please note that this video was filmed in May 2026. So if you're watching this later, some parts of the OpenAI dashboard or documentation may look slightly different. The core idea should still remain the same, but always refer to the latest OpenAI docs if something has changed. So why use APIs in the first place? When you use ChatGPT in the browser, you're interacting with AI through OpenAI's user interface. But when you use the OpenAI API, you can bring those AI capabilities directly into your own applications. For example, you can build a website with an AI chatbot, a script that summarizes documents, an internal support tool, an AI-powered dashboard, a travel assistant, or even your own AI agent. The API is what allows your own code to send a request to OpenAI, get a model response back, and then use that response inside your application. In this video, we're not going too deep yet. The goal is to get our first API call working, understand the basic structure, and get a bird's eye view of how the OpenAI ecosystem works. After that, we can go deeper into topics like prompts, tools, function calling, image input, streaming, agents, and building real applications. Let's get started. First, we need to create an API key. Go to the OpenAI Developer Quick Start page, which you can access by going here. Then click Create an API Key. After logging in, you should be taken to the OpenAI platform dashboard. In my case, you can see that I've already created an API key over here. If this is your first time, click Create New Secret Key in the top right corner. A modal should appear where you can create a new key. Give it a name if needed, then create the key. The important thing is that you will only be shown the full API key once, so copy it immediately and store it somewhere secure. Do not share this key publicly, do not upload it to GitHub, and do not expose it in front-end browser code. Next, we need to make sure billing is set up. Because we're using the API, usage is billed separately from ChatGPT. So even if you have ChatGPT Plus, Pro, or another ChatGPT plan, that does not automatically mean your API account has credits. To add credits, click your profile icon, go to your profile, then open billing from the left sidebar. From there, click Add to Credit Balance and add credits to your account. You can see that I've already added some credits. I've already done this, but if you haven't, go ahead and add a small amount first. Since this is just a beginner tutorial, you don't need to add a lot of credits. Now, I'm going to assume that 1, you created your API key, and 2, added credits to your account. Next, we need to store the API key safely on our computer. The reason we do this is because you don't want to paste our API key directly into our JavaScript code. If we hard code the API key into our code, we might accidentally commit it to GitHub or expose it somewhere. Instead, we'll store it as an environment variable. Since I'm on Mac OS and using ZSH, I'm going to store it in my .cshrc file. Open your terminal and run this command. This opens the .cshrc file, and at the bottom of that file, add this line. export OpenAI underscore API underscore key, and then replace your API key here with the actual API key you copied from the OpenAI dashboard. After adding that line, save the file. Now we need to reload the .zshrc file so the terminal can use the new environment variable. And run this command. To check that it worked, you can run echo $OpenAI underscore API underscore key. If everything is set up correctly, your API key should appear in the terminal. For security reasons, I'm not going to show you the real output here, but on your machine, you should see your key printed. If you're using Windows, the command is different. In PowerShell, you can use setx OpenAI underscore API underscore key, and then add your API key within these apostrophes. Now that our API key is set up, let's create a simple JavaScript project. The OpenAI SDK automatically looks for an environment variable called OpenAI API key. So once we've set that up, we don't need to manually paste the API key into every JavaScript file. This is better for security, and it also keeps our code cleaner. Now, let's create a new project folder called OpenAI-tutorial. In your terminal, run make directory OpenAI-tutorial. Yeah, you can see that I've already created this folder. And then cd OpenAI-tutorial. This creates a new folder and moves us into that folder. Next, initialize a new Node.js project by typing npm init-y. This creates a package.json file, which is used to manage our JavaScript project and its dependencies. Next, we'll install the official OpenAI JavaScript library. Type npm install OpenAI. This gives us access to the OpenAI SDK, so we can call the OpenAI API from our JavaScript code. Next, let's create our first example file. Touch example underscore one.mjs. The .mjs extension tells Node.js that we're using JavaScript modules, which allows us to use the import syntax. Now, open this folder in VS Code by typing code dots. If this command does not work, don't worry. You can simply open VS Code manually and select the OpenAI tutorial folder, as you can see here. Now, go to the OpenAI Quickstart guide and let's copy the first example, the example.mjs code. Copy the code here and paste it into example1.mjs. You can see that I've already done so. Let's break this down. First, we import the OpenAI library. This gives us access to the OpenAI client inside our JavaScript file. Next, we create a new client. Because we already saved our API key as OpenAI API key, the SDK can automatically authenticate for us, so we don't need to write the API key directly in our code. Then we call await.client.responses.create. This sends a request to the OpenAI Responses API. The model field tells OpenAI which model we want to use. So here we're using GPT 5.5. The input field is the instruction, question, or prompt that we want to send to the model. In this case, we're asking the model to write a one-sentence bedtime story about a unicorn. Finally, we print the result using console.log. Response.output text contains the text response generated by the model, and console.log prints it in our terminal. Now, save the file and run it. Node example underscore one.mjs. And let's wait. You can see that after waiting a few seconds, we were able to get an output. Under a moonlit sky, a sleepy unicorn sprinkled stardust over the meadow and curled up beside a silver stream, dreaming the flowers into bloom. Very beautiful. Okay, so that wraps up our first OpenAI API call with JavaScript. We created an API key, added credits, stored the key safely as an environment variable, created a simple Node.js project, installed the OpenAI SDK, and sent our first request to the Responses API. At this point, you now have the basic setup working. In the next video, we'll continue with the rest of the functions in the Quickstart guide and see what else we can do with the OpenAI API beyond this first simple example. Thank you.